Ben Chaffins, or the Big Bad Ben 90 as some of you may know him by on Twitter, is a writer for GodzillaMovies.com, one of the most popular Godzilla news sites in recent years. He was a kid of the 90s, and he became a fan of the King of the Monsters, much like how a lot of others did around that time.
When TNT had their Monster Vision Godzilla Marathon, I can't really recall what the first Godzilla movie was that I saw. I want to say it was either Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, or Godzilla versus Monster Zero. At that time, as a child especially, you're seeing these monsters just go at it and beat the holy hell out of each other. From that point forward, it took off.
Ben continued to consume all things Godzilla. He taped all the movies onto blank VHS tapes, snatched any book he could find, and it wasn't until around 2012 that he finally discovered the online Godzilla fandom.
I didn't really get into the computer world very heavily until 2012, and that's mainly because that's when I found out the new American Godzilla movie, G14, was going to be coming out pretty soon. When I started seeing news about the movie, there was that particular website, Godzilla Movies and Sci-Fi. I felt like it was that point in time that I needed to join. It's been outrageous, but it's also been a blast and a fun to interact with so many people, especially when it comes to such a famous franchise as Godzilla.
He eventually started writing for sci-fi.com, doing movie reviews primarily at first, but that was soon about to change when something caught his eye on Twitter.
On Twitter, I had run into Yoko Higuchi, who was the production assistant that worked in the special effects department on my second favorite Godzilla film, that being SHIN GODZILLA. And it entered my mind. I was like, will he allow me to interview him? I never really did write school papers or anything like that when I was in high school, but I did love to write. And, when that opportunity came knocking, I knew I had to answer that door. So I sent him a direct message on Twitter. I said, hey man, I would be thrilled and honored if I could talk to you about your experience with this movie. He finally got back with me and he said, I would absolutely love to talk to you about this movie. It was amazing that somebody that actually worked on a film was going to allow me to interview them. I never would have imagined in my whole 28 years that anybody would let me, of all people, interview them.
Imagine being 20 years old, being a G fan, and then suddenly finding yourself on the set of Japan's latest Godzilla production. That's essentially the start of the story in Ben's interview with Mr. Higuchi. It's a great read, very much an interesting glimpse into the production aspects of what would eventually become one of the biggest Godzilla movies ever. What was some of the more surprising takeaways from that?
When we were talking about the animatronic puppet that they did construct, and apparently it was failing the effect shots that they were going for. That was something that really hurt a lot of us tokusatsu fans out there because we love seeing practical effects. But I got to give the CGI a lot of credit for SHIN GODZILLA because Godzilla itself looked like the man in suit that we all have come to cherish and love, but there are a lot of practical effects used in the film that people are missing. It's just the way that the practical effects blend in with the CGI is, truly great, especially for Japan.
This May, Godzilla King of the Monsters, sequel to 2014's Godzilla, will premiere in Japan and the US simultaneously. It's directed by Michael Dougherty, features Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, and will bring forth the Hollywood iterations of Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah for the very first time. But while the rest of us fans were making trailer reaction videos on YouTube, it's here, specifically once again on the pages of Twitter, that Ben saw more opportunity. You've already had the opportunity to interview Alan Maxson, who was the mocap actor for Ghidorah's right head, but you also interviewed Xavier Fraser, who plays a soldier in that very same movie, right?
Now, with Xavier Fraser, that guy was also a down-to-earth, genuine guy to talk to. He isn't just a movie actor, he's also a rapper. And again, like I said, he had a minor role in this film. But however, in our interview, his role of the military character he plays works closely with O'Shea. But he also explained to me about a particular scene with him in the helicopter. Now, this is just pure speculation on my behalf, but the way that he described the scene that he was involved in with the helicopter scene, it sounded to me like they're in Antarctica for something huge. And as everybody knows by now, that's where our three-headed golden boy is trapped beneath the ice.
Was there anything said by either Mr. Max or Mr. Fraser that made you more excited?
Actually, there is. Now, I've actually gotten the interview that I've had with Alan Maxson here. I'm waiting for the time to, finish up the interview with him after the movie comes out. But to quote one of his sentences, this movie is made for the fans, by the fans, end quote. Yeah, that's about the only thing I really can share at this point.
I would like to thank Ben very much for the opportunity to interview him for the purposes of this video. And I also highly suggest you go follow him on Twitter at BigBadBen90 and go read his articles on Sci-Fi. Really, really cool stuff. And for Godzilla's sake, follow Monstrosities of Tokusatsu vlog here on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. This video was brought to you by Shopping Mall Japan, our #1 source of anime and tokusatsu collectibles, making sure that we all can collect responsibly.